Yo! What's up, crew? Man, it's a beautiful day. I don't know what is happening with my face right now. It's a beautiful day here in Nashville. Say hello to the NSX we got here. Just living the dream right now. I just thought it'd be cool to hang out. I actually took the afternoon off. We just recorded a brand new webinar this morning. Do some questions, y'all. Let's solve some problems. Eli says, anyone can make money. How do you keep building wealth? It's a great question. Depends on what you want to do with it, what kind of wealth you want to get into. Step number one is you've got to actually track your numbers. We actually went through a period in February and March. We were scaling and our profit margins started going down. We kind of fixed some things. You're going to be in a period all the time of like scaling versus optimizing, scaling, optimizing. Those two are totally different goals. If you're scaling, it's gonna be really expensive. Scale is expensive. You're gonna sacrifice some profit margin to scale. So you gotta have a period of scale, period of optimize. What happens when businesses just scale nonstop is they tend to run out of money. That said, once you have that figured out, you can put your money into other things. So I think I read this quote somewhere, I don't remember, but he said, safety comes from diversification, but cash flow comes from focus. Blake, best tips for managing energy when you have to do things for your business that are draining? OMG, that's a great question. I'll give you some tips. Number one is just really staying super dialed into why you're doing it. It sounds so simple. But I can't tell you how many times I've forgotten why I'm doing what I'm doing. And this is from someone who I'm pretty good at managing my morning formula. I'm pretty good at just staying in the loop on what's going on. But if you forget why you're doing something, all of us have to do things that suck from time to time. But if you forget why you're doing them and you get stuck in that, your energy is going to go down. It doesn't matter how resilient you are, how perseverant you are. If you're not connected to the why at the end of the tunnel, then you'll get stuck in the tunnel. And that's not a good thing. Another thing is schedule. For some reason, I don't know if this is true for you, Blake, but it's true for me. For some reason, when I get up early and I control the first 2-3 hours of my day, I'm good. I'm golden. I can do things that I don't necessarily enjoy to do and almost enjoy them because I'm in control. And it's almost like this choice. When I get into the office and I've got a dozen Slack messages and people are bothering me and calling me and a bunch of stuff, I feel out of control. Also, you can't just do things that you hate nonstop. You got to mix it in with things that you do love. There's a lot of reframing that you can do for energy. Biggest tip though is staying connected to your why. Don't get caught in the tunnel. Justin, first few steps to ramping up, where to focus energy initially. Marketing, getting clients. That's how you ramp up. That's how all of us ramp up. In fact, one of the first things that we focus on is the offer, making sure the offer is good, right? Because if the offer is not good, then it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters until the offer is good. But from there, it's getting demand. So there's two things you got to focus on. One is supply and demands, and the other is fulfillment. When you're first getting started, supply and demand is the only thing that matters. You got to make sure the demand for what you do exceeds the supply. Does that make sense? What happens when you have a lot of supply and no demand? The price goes down, it's out of style, nobody cares about it. So you got to spend the time stoking the demands for what you do. And you do that through, organic stuff, hyper organic. You can use some paid traffic to do it. And then paid traffic is really what's going to scale you. But to get started at the beginning, you need a really good offer. You need to stoke the demand. You need to get the demand going. Get people to pay attention to you. Get people to be oh man, I need that. Oh, I am struggling with that. Oh, this is what I need to do. Paying attention to your stuff. Blake, with the amazing questions today. These are so good. Given your drive, I'm interested to know how you remove yourself emotionally from what you see as potential for your clients versus their lower goals and expectations. This is a great question, and it's honestly something that I don't know that we figured out yet, because what's crazy, Blake, is you've seen this. People come in and we'll intro them to the group and stuff, and we'll be Johnny so-and-so wants to make $100,000 a month. And then all of a sudden, they get to 40 grand a month or 10 grand a month or 15. It's they just stop and they become content. And there are some people even in UE where I'm you could literally be at $250,000 a month, right now, but there's some missing drive, and I don't really know how to teach that. If I could teach it, I would do it. If I could figure it out. I think it just comes down to how people see themselves and what they think that they deserve. That Mindset Monday we did a couple weeks ago. some people get to 30K a month and it's just like, that's all they think that that's above what they deserve, and so they can't ever get past that. And I think it's like one of those things where you can't want for someone else something more than they want for themselves. And I've had to just come to grips with that. Been so deep in getting marketing done, my learning has been it takes way longer to do it right. Yep, it does. I've realized I've been rushing my main marketing assets. I have a tendency to feel guilty for working on my marketing, that I should be doing other stuff. When you have something that can help other people, like we get these stories, so I can say this with 100% truth and honesty and integrity. It's like people are like, oh my God, Chris and Taylor, you changed my life. What if we would have been like, oh, the whole world needs us, but we felt guilty doing marketing, so we're not going to market ourselves. What would happen to those people? They would not get results, they wouldn't get help, or they'd hire some other goofball who doesn't know what they're doing. So I think that you actually have an obligation to do marketing if your product or program or skill set is good, right? Some people that we work with, like, Tasha, she like helps people get pregnant. Like they can't have a family, she like helps them get pregnant. That's a freaking big deal. What if she was like, I don't want to do marketing, it makes me feel guilty. It's like, okay, you're like literally stealing from people by not doing marketing. Got to reframe that. Danielle, as soon as you encounter what seems like a big problem, how do you train your mindset to think more proactively versus reactively? Yeah, so the first thing that comes to mind is, I don't want to experience the same problem over and over, but I'm totally cool dealing with big problems. Entrepreneurship is problem solving. In fact, if you ever go through a period where you're not being challenged with big problems, you've stopped growing. You've given up somewhere. You've been lazy somewhere. You've messed up. So you need to reframe it, because it's like, anytime if you're not experiencing big problems on the regular, you're not growing. Something's wrong with how you're running stuff. That said, I want to solve problems once and then not have to solve them again and again and again. My thinking is more being proactive to solve the problem and then prevent it in the future. But I'm never really down on myself, and Chris isn't really down on himself, of being like, oh man, why wasn't I proactive enough to notice that we were going to have this problem? Because we should know what we don't know. That's never going to happen. Like, you're always going to have those problems if you're growing. All right, y'all, I think that's it. You guys are awesome. If you're not on the memos, get on the memos. I don't know what you're thinking. Get on the freaking memos and keep us posted on your business. That's what we're here for. Adios.